Today is a great day because I have two great speakers lined up for Capital City Connect.
Three.
Well, three, yes. Two agencies, three speakers. So our first up is Missy Hoy. She is an LVN with CareFor. And then after that, we will have John Brown and Kim, I don't know her last name yet, from Oasis Senior Advisors and Sis.
Thank you for having me today, guys. As Joanna said, my name is Missy Hoy. I'm an LVN. So as I said, I'm with a company called CareFor. So a little introduction about us. Our fearless leader, her name is Catherine Vergara. She is an RN. She has lots of history in healthcare, pediatrics, all the way to senior care. She is a fierce leader. She took over. CareFor has been around for about 25 years. It started out with our founder, Debbie Pearson, and it used to be called Nurse Case Management. In 2013, Catherine took over and has been leading our team since then. Our founder, Debbie, is still very, very much involved, still does a lot of speaking and things for us, but that's our fearless leader. And then just a little bit about me. I've been an LVN since 2009. I have a little bit of background in a little bit of everything. Did a little bit of hospital stay, but not much. Home health. I was an LVN case manager as well. And then I switched over to hospice and on call for hospice services. So I've kind of done a little bit of everything, clinic work. I managed a clinic. Nursing is my passion, but when I was offered a role as a liaison to educate community, I love doing that too. So I said, let's take this on and so I can get out with everybody. But as I said, I became an LVN in 2009. When I came over to CareFor, the reason I wanted to come over, first of all, because hospice is one of my passions, but also because home care. I have a son that will be with me for the rest of his life. He's on the autism spectrum and will need care and someone with him at all times for the rest of his life. So I understand that piece, maybe not in the later time in life, but I do understand how important it is to have a good support network around you to help care for yourself and the loved ones that we're caring for. So it really kind of lined up with what I love to do anyway. So, yeah. And like I said, it was founded by Debbie Pearson, formerly Nurse Case Management. She saw the need for just helping people navigate their medical things. And she has a heart for planning. She really believes that we have to start planning for our future. As uncomfortable it is to talk about sometimes, she really believes that we have to plan for our future to have the best outcomes and to even things like help our family. Sometimes if something happens to us, it can put a stress on our families. And if we have it all planned out, it helps everyone. At this time, we have 9 care managers. We have 8 RNs, but then we also have a social worker on our staff as well to help with any of those needs. As we all know, Capital City is dedicated to helping seniors thrive in their homes and communities as long as possible. And then CareFor comes along. How can we work together? That's what we like to do as well. Help you plan for your future so that you can stay in place where you are as long as you can. And the services that we offer can help those things. So the 4, or actually now 5 areas, it's just not on this. We don't have the updated for this yet, but we do private in-home caregiving. And that ranges non-medical things, just companionship, all the way to some medical things. Our caregivers can do transportation needs. We have a 4-hour minimum, but definitely between our staffing and our nursing staff, they come up with a good care plan, oversee our caregivers. And so there's always that oversight if there's ever an issue, or if we think that we need to do training with some more training with our caregivers on your specific needs. We have those RNs on board that can help us train and kind of help them along.
I have a question. Is that 4-hour minimum per what? Per day? Per
Yes,
week, per...
yes. Well, it could be for a week. We have some clients that just have us come in 1 to 2 times a week on those 4-hour minimums. Okay. So it's as needed, but there is that 4-hour minimum for the day. Yes, ma'am. Good question. Thank you. And then we also kind of what we started off for is our care management. Our registered nurses, I say concierge because honestly, they can do anything. They can do medical care plans individualized to your person and your loved one, help with medication needs. Sometimes they go to appointments with our clients. They don't have family in town or just need someone to scribe something out and just write down all the details so that you have a really good synopsis of what your visit was about so that you don't forget those things. They can do those things. But I have a client at a community close by that it was her and her husband's dying wish after he passed that she would be able to stay in IL in her independent living setting as long as possible. And so she's still very much into her businesses and still does a lot of work, but she's not able to see that computer screen anymore. So our RN comes in about once or twice a month. We will, we'll read off her emails to her and she dictates back to the RN what she wants to type back. So she's able to still do those business things and stay active the way she wants to, but she just has that person scribing it out for her. And it gives her that ability to continue to do that and to stay in IL because she's got our RN checking in on her and making sure that everything's fine. So it's definitely a great service. It is private pay too. Like the caregiving, but some people do, if you have certain long-term care plans can cover that. We do have some clients that it does cover that for them. And then we also, like I said, we help with planning. Like I said, Debbie, our founder, Debbie has, she's an author to a book called Age Your Way. It's a book that talks you through different planning stages, all the different areas, medical, financial, all those things. And then she also created a workbook that goes along with that you can save all of those things in one spot. So it's a really nice thing, but our RNs and our team can also help your family navigate planning, can help you navigate moving to a new community, things like that. So definitely they're there to help for that. And then we also help in cases where we have guardianship clients. Typically, the ages of that range, but if someone needs a professional guardian to help navigate their case, we can do that. And then we also can serve as MPOA, so medical power of attorney, secondary to families. Like one example is we have several clients that have family members, sons, daughters that live out of town. So they can't always be here directly to make some hard decisions in some cases. And so they put us on as also as medical power of attorney. If there's anything that needs to be done in person here, we can take over for that, communicate with them and kind of help them be more in person than from far away. Because it makes a lot of families a little nervous and it makes you feel better to know that someone is here in person that could go to your person and help them make those decisions. And then our last service line that we just launched, which I know none of you need at this point, is our hospice service line. Sometimes we take care of our clients for years upon years upon years, and oftentimes they stay with us through their time of needing hospice care. And so we just thought, what better than to be able to serve a client through their whole continuum? Because we all know continuity of care, having the same health staff around you can really help your case instead of having to start over with someone new. So that is an option for our clients. If they need that service, we can also take them on for hospice and, help them till the very end. So, yeah. I think we're going to do questions. Any questions specifically about any services that CareFor does?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Here.
Where is that?
Hold on a second.
Oh, yeah, then we'll go.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, assuming you've been taking care of somebody in the way you nicely outlined here, when you switch to hospice, isn't, if they have Medicare, almost totally picked up there? In other words, the services of hospice mostly, if not
Yes.
totally paid for?
Yes, so the hospice service line is, yes, typically through Medicaid or Medicare. CareFor, we're newer, so we don't have our Medicaid license yet to take that on for hospice, but we can take on anybody for Medicare purposes. Yes, sir. And that Medicare does pay for that out of their pocket. Yes, sir. 100%? Yes. Yes.
Other questions?
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time.
I do have one
Okay,
question.
now,
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, if you.
talk into the microphone.
Okay, I have our medical power of, no,
Medical power of attorney.
No, I, yes, have that too, but, the one that's extended care,
Long-term.
long-term care, okay. I have a policy
Uh-huh.
and it is paid for life for me, so I don't have any premiums. But we, family-wise, have a question about if we start it,
Mhm.
do we have to continue it? Or can we stop it at some point and then start it again as needed?
Depends on
Do
the
you
policy.
have,
Yeah.
do you
no.
have that kind of person on your staff that can read those thick policies and figure it out?
Yeah, that we do. We have,
Okay.
yeah, and, but oftentimes, yeah, John, can you kind of chime in for that?
Yeah, usually with so usually with long-term care, if you activate it, then if you stop, that's the end of the policy.
Yeah.
But we'd have to dig into your policy, actually read through it and see if there's exceptions. I
Okay.
have seen a few.
That's my
policies.
husband was the one that wrote the policy, and he was a good agent, and he told me, don't ever quit paying the premium, because whichever of us dies, the others is paid up for life.
Correct, and that's
So-
usually when you activate it, the premiums stop and then it pays for the care.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it can, I would say less than 20% chance that you could stop the policy. You'd want to, once you start using it, continue to use it. But you have to.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, I wanna make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, yes, ma'am. But we definitely have people on our staff that kind of can help you
Okay.
navigate that, read that, and things like that. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hey, Jimmy, you should call the customer service line of the company. That's where you get the straight
I
information.
did, and I got a good answer, but my daughter doesn't believe me. Mom knows us both.
Thank you guys for letting me come and be part of this today. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, trust but verify, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
See much more information. Hi, I'm John with Oasis Senior Advisors. I've spoken to some of you before. So as Missy was talking about the medical side and the guardianship and hospice, Oasis, we work on the other side, the non-medical side. Consult or an intake. We kind of go take a holistic approach of looking at everything and coming up with a plan. My personal experience when my mother was diagnosed with dementia, the doctor said, hey, it's time. And I'm like, I don't understand what that means, but it's time for her to move. And I'm like, well, she lives with me, you know, and I take care of her. I go over there 3 times a day. I do her A1C. Well, my mother had dementia and she burned, you know, she put something in the toaster oven and burned her casita. And so it was time. And when you get on this journey, you've got the medical, the non-medical, you've got Medicare, Medicaid, VA, all these things to navigate. And so it's very complicated and each person's situation is so unique. And each person is aging differently, right? We all have a friend who's in their 60s or 70s that need a lot of care. And then we have a senior that's in their 90s that are going strong, right? And so it's all different. And so you have to really take that holistic approach of looking at everything and then drilling down to what's the best resources for each person. Next slide. So this is my team. I have 8 advisors in the Central Texas area. We cover from New Braunfels to Waco. We're your local experts on senior care and senior living. Next slide. Why caregivers need support? Like I said, because it's daunting. There's so much out there. There are thousands of great resources out there. It's which one matches for you, which one do you need, or which one does that senior need? And so that's where our advisors step in and help with that. Next screen. All of my staff have been caregivers. Myself, kind of gave you an overview, but Debbie worked in hospice and she's had some family members with complex medical. Matthew has a hospital administration degree and he's helped his family and helped thousands of families. Greg's helped his in-law and family. Robin, her mother, went through the whole process from needing care to moving to an assisted living to moving to memory care and then skilled nursing. Emily's currently on that journey with her mother so some dementia. And then Annie or Catherine, she has worked in hospital administration and, in skilled nursing administration, and also helped many families and currently on that journey with her grandmother as well. So we're all aging. It all happens to us, whether we like it or not. And we just want to be a resource. Our service is free, it's confidential, it's unbiased based on your situation. Next screen. Or skip that, you can skip that one. So go ahead. So, Oasis Senior Advisors, our service is free, helping families navigate and find the right resources. We also, next screen, launched a website called Senior Industry Services. So it's a local website here in Central Texas. It's got blog content written by a local lady that I've hired. So, it's more specific to our area. She does great articles like on things for seniors to do for Mother's Day, gifts and things like that. So, go ahead, next screen. So what Senior Industry Services is it's bringing all the senior industry in Central Texas together to help seniors. So on our website, you'll see blog content, you'll see we have some networking events, but it also has lists of thousands of different resources and businesses that are there to support you as well. So it's a quick place to go if you're looking for a resource. Next screen. Like I said, Lauren writes our blog content, like 10 thoughtful Mother's Day gifts. I know she did one on things for seniors to do in Central Texas. She just writes different things that are kind of in our area. So the resource tab on that website, you can see things for long-term care planning, medical care, non-medical care, products, senior care services as well. It's all listed on there. So that takes me to the next screen. So again, everybody's journey is different. We did include a resource guide in your packet. So that's just a list of like all the hospitals, all the rehabs, home care, home health, hospice, nonprofits. It's all on there. It's a little tight. It's a tight read. It's pretty tight, small print, but that's because it has so much packed on there. Next screen. So then with Oasis, we kept coming across so many seniors that can't afford home care, are resistant to care. They need more home care than they can afford, or they keep having hospital readmissions. Maybe I had one gentleman who was blind and he kept discharging from the hospital and going home by himself. His son lived in Temple. The other son lived in San Antonio. He's got nobody helping him. And so, a lot of people don't like Alexa because she listens to everything and she affects your Google searches and all that kind of stuff. And some people don't like video. And so we're like, okay, well, there's got to be something out there that's better. And we started looking around and we found a company here locally, and they have this new technology and we think it's awesome. I can say from experience, I've helped multiple families with it, and it has really, really been eye-opening. Helps the seniors get ahead of the care rather than behind the care. Nothing's worse than a phone call that, hey, dad's in the hospital, mom's in the hospital, or Judy's in the hospital, right? Wouldn't you rather know, I think Judy might have a UTI, or we think she might be declining with her mobility, or we think there may be signs that, there's pneumonia or something like that. So it's predictive health, but it's also reactive health as well. So the Care Companion is very inexpensive, and I'm going to let Kim talk about it. She's our liaison. We brought her on because it's a very interesting service. So here you go, Kim.
Thank you, John. Welcome, everyone. Really glad to be here today. Thank you to the Hoffmans. Thank you, Johanna. Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, founding volunteer Rick, for setting up our technology. Can y'all hear me? Okay. Well, I thought before I launch into the presentation, we might just take a minute. And so my presentation is a little bit different.
You want to do the other one?
Yes, please. I'm sure y'all are aware that May is National American month. So, yeah, it's older American month, which is a national observance of the contributions and achievements that folks in this country have made. And I just thought about this and thought it was pretty cool. It was established in 1963, I think. And it got me thinking that, in an effort to slow myself down, because I, have a tendency to rush through things and get anxious and, and slow my speech down. I thought we all might take a breath, take a moment to just acknowledge kind of what that means for us in our personal or professional lives, the contributions that you all have made, and just appreciate yourselves. There's a lot of good work being done by everyone in this group. And yeah, maybe let's take a moment and take a breath. Okay. Thank you for that. So I, am new to this industry. I know John has a long relationship with many of you and has been doing good work for many, many years. And I've just been astounded at how many resources there are in this town, including, Capital City Village, which is, largely volunteer run, and about how many free services and low cost services there are. My parents live here. They've benefited from Age of Central Texas and some of the loaner items. I met John through my parents, and he, was incredible to them. And I just feel really lucky. So, part of this awareness month is also highlighting trends in aging, and kind of the tagline for this year is flipping the script on aging, which encourages us to, challenge stereotypes, dispel misconceptions, and, change the way society talks about aging, thinks about, and conceives of aging. There are so many active, healthy seniors in this city and in this country. And part of the trend is incorporating some technology to assist an entire care team, to assist medical teams, family members, caregivers, and just an entire community in helping seniors like yourselves who are still really active and engaged in their communities to have as much information as y'all can, and stay healthy, longer, stay healthy, have a good quality of life, stay active longer. So what this tool is, it's manufactured by a local company. It's 3 little plug and play pods. Forgive me, I can bring it to you afterward to show you, but they're about the size of an air freshener. They plug into the environment, and it's managed by a SIM card and router. So there is no need to, it's a passive tool. It's an ambient tool. There's no need to change batteries, to, set up a Wi-Fi and password. It has its own Wi-Fi. So it's entirely kind of self-contained in that regard, which, according to every senior I've talked to, that's a benefit. Because which I can sympathize with entirely, and I do mean that. Yeah, it's a HIPAA compliant tool, which means that it really does just listen in for medical and health related events. So it's a 24/7 tool that is triggered by keywords, sounds, phrases, and acoustic events. And all the other stuff, the, private conversations, the sounds on TV, the, maybe spats or discussions about anything that is not care related is not interesting to this tool. It's not relevant, and it doesn't listen in for that.
Or it won't tell a child that they've been talked about unflatteringly.
Hopefully for the children.
50-year-old children we have.
Yeah. No, it really won't. And that is the amazing thing about AI. is its ability to, it certainly doesn't take the place of humans in any way. What it does do really well is analyze enormous data sets and, draw conclusions and decipher patterns. So if you want to switch to the next slide.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Example?
It's,
Wait,
yeah.
wait.
Example.
And we could go through this, or I could just launch into it now. But the slides may kind of help if we
Okay.
just sort
Keep
of,
going.
yeah. So these are examples of things that it would respond to: calls for help, falls, medication errors, early detection of infections, physical cognitive anomalies, patterns in behavior. So it's incredibly holistic and comprehensive in identifying physical, emotional, and cognitive changes and trends. So it can listen in for an amalgamation of sounds, including the sound of a pill bottle being opened, or the sound of coughing, or toilet flushing, if there were water boiling in the kitchen and it, triggered a smoke alarm or something like that. It would hear all these noises and interpret them. And
what does it do?
what it does
If it
is,
hears the fall, or what's the next step?
well, the information is sent very quickly, transcribed onto a care feed. So what's attached to the router is an app on a manager's phone. And so the agency managing, so Senior Industry Services, a home health care agency, would receive a phone call immediately, a text message, emails. You can set up all these options. So a high alert, there are different levels of information and they're treated differently. A fall is a high alert. An emergency event like that, where, someone's coughing, grabbing their chest, is a high alert, and that would be responded to right away.
So we would reach out to whoever the emergency contact, like, let's say it's you live alone and your daughter's in Kansas, right? If she said, if mom falls, I want to be alerted immediately, we would call her first. If she said, well, no, we want you to treat it as quickly as possible, then we would call EMS and direct them to you, if that answers your question.
Okay.
So you have a team behind it of personal people that are helping you navigate that situation.
Yes.
Right.
Is
This does more
basically,
than that.
help me, I've fallen and I can't get up, only like AI, super high tech version of that?
No. We would, since I've been training with the company, I've learned just how dynamic and holistic and comprehensive this is. So while it does, the first line of defense is responding to emergency events. And it certainly does that. But it does a lot more.
It's key function, so somebody can have a ready alert, but what we find is sometimes they don't push the button, or they don't carry the ready alert with them. So we often have talked to families that, they fallen in the bathroom and the ready alert.
AI part, right? The AI figures it out.
Yes.
Yes.
So just, go ahead.
So aside from just the reactive and responsive part, which is obviously really, incredibly important, the main goal here is to get ahead of emergent events and forecast potential health issues before they become critical and chronic. So that's really the brilliance. You can look into the care feed, and as we switch to the next slide, it can do a number of things. So, and the next one, this is basically what it looks like. You can switch to the next slide, please. Yeah. So early signs of pneumonia, UTIs, cognitive changes. As you can see, it reports between 30 seconds and a minute worth of audio data. So you can hear someone's tone of voice, what they sound like, and exactly what's going on, if it is health related, which is incredibly empowering. I mean, I set it up for my dad, and it took about 5 minutes to set up the pods. We check the care feed every day, and it sends notifications. And the accuracy of this data has turned me into a believer. I mean, it really and truly has. He has, neuropathy, his vision, he's struggling with his vision. He had some other, issues with his hearing. It recorded a short snippet of my mom reminding him that he wasn't taking his medication on time. So then I, as a family member or, an agency support can get in there and know exactly how to help and how I can help my mom. Do you need a reminder on when to take the medication? Do you need me to help him take him to PT today? So it's just, a higher level of care. And really, I think, the founder of this company, Romy Goobs, she's really intending to revolutionize the future of preventative care and help, Western medicine like usher in a new age of preventative care. Thank you for the nod.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide. So many benefits for seniors. What we want to do, what the goal is to preserve independence longer, help everybody stay in their homes or where they want to be longer, and to enhance the support, to give a really holistic 360-degree assessment of what needs to be done. And this tool can actually help you. So it can use an example like it can predict the likelihood of falls based on step analysis because it can hear how someone is moving about the room. And then it goes a step further into suggesting, PT or modifications, adjustments. Then it will record the action taken and the impact of that action. So you have this incredibly informative set of data that can be easily interpreted by your medical professionals, by your family members, and that's hugely valuable. Okay, next slide. And these are more examples with medication management. A potential risk for medication errors was detected. So if it hears someone kind of verbalizing confusion or medication isn't taken at the same time, it will pick up on that. And it notes the time of day and what the recommendations are.
So does this come out on a screen or how do people know?
Yes,
the
it's
information's been relayed?
exactly. So it's an app and there's a dashboard. And I think in the next slides, it'll show you what the dashboard looks like, but it's easy to read. It's pretty easy to read.
So the family would get a care plan, a regular routine care plan. The agency would be the one, whoever, like with us, with Oasis or CIS, we would be getting that information and notifying the family. So if it's a critical alert, like I said, you're gonna get a phone call within an hour, somebody is fallen.
Yeah.
If it's, and I can give an example, we had a lady that has started to cough.
Can you walk down there with the mic?
It gave us a note, sorry to interrupt, sorry. So we had a lady who started to cough and it gave us just a notification, there's a cough. And within 24 hours, it had increased by 208%. So now it's an alert. And so the alert notified us to contact the family and notify the family and recommend that she see her PCP. Well, of course, the family was like, we think it's allergies, Central Texas, no big deal. The next morning, they woke up, they called mom, she's still coughing, and it's a lot. And they're like, okay, we're going to the PCP. So she's like 94, 95 years old. They took her to the PCP. Of course, what do? We're going to do the flu test. We're going to do the pneumonia test, the COVID test, the strep test. And it came back, she had COVID. So she had COVID. They got it early before she had the fever, the chills and everything else, and got her treated quickly. Again, it's the predictive side of this that really helps. I did want to go back to the audio piece real quick. Kim had mentioned that it's audio, okay? But an example would be a loud bang, okay? You hear a loud bang, somebody else touched down, okay? It knows that's not health related. It does not record. It's not listening. It doesn't care. Here's a loud bang. help, or I can't get up, or, I can't get to my walker, something like that, then that's an alert that we would be receiving, okay? So it's gotta be health related, or it has to be a sound which triggers it, like you mentioned, excessive flushing of the commode, banging of a pot, or a fire alarm or something like that. It's more, the beauty of the system is its predictiveness and its ability to get ahead of health events again, based on trends and the care plan. So,
Okay, I've got a question then, if that's true, then.
Wait,
Mike, oh, microphone.
oh, you're good.
My question is, does the individual themselves, do they get, like they forgot night medications, do they get a notice of that so that, or will there be a reminder other than from you all? Will that?
Yeah,
give them a
if
reminder
you,
on the app, something like that?
so no, it's not to manage your meds. It's gonna let us know. So this is on the predictive side. So let's say you take your medication every morning at 8 o'clock, okay? And it's noticing that by 10 o'clock, you're asleep, okay? And that used to not be the case. It's gonna say, okay, something's changed with the medication. Does it need to be re-reviewed?
Okay.
Or, sometimes people will take medication and right afterwards they become very dizzy, very lightheaded, things like that. It's looking for anomalies to let you know, okay, wait, maybe there's a problem with this. Maybe there's an interaction. It's not to manage it. If you needed med reminders and things like that, we have other resources. Or if you're using a caregiver service, they would continue to do that. It's more about looking for anomalies and preventing accidents and things like that. Yes, ma'am. She knows the real, look at her.
I learned from Linda. Two back-to-back questions. One, how long has this been in public use?
2019, 2000. Yeah.
And in that time, have you established an error rate?
So far, I have not had an error rate. I've had mostly what I've had is families who do not listen to it. They don't want to hear what's recommended. So is it okay if I give some stories? So an example would be, I had a lady who called and she's like, I think my dad needs assisted living, but he lives in independent living. But I don't know what his care is. I don't know what he needs. So we put it in. And we immediately started getting all kinds of notifications. Number one, girlfriend was coming over and helping him and getting him dressed and taking him to eat and all that kind of stuff. And she was helping him in bed at night and things like that. That's great. But it was care that was unknown, right? The daughter didn't know that. Immediately we started getting notifications that there was, yeah. We started getting notifications that he had a UTI. We called the PCP went and saw him. Sure enough, he had a UTI. Okay, got that addressed. Then lower body weakness. He was struggling with lower body weakness. So we had to get home health involved and get them out to do physical therapy. Again, then we also started seeing that at night when his girlfriend would leave, he was showing some signs of anxiety, depression, things like that. And it was right on the line based on our interpretations of, he was possibly going into sundown. And so, the family didn't know that. They thought he cognitively was in great shape. And lastly, it detected wounds, that he had a wound. And we found out he was hiding a wound from his girlfriend and his daughter.
How does it do that?
So again, it's looking at all these patterns and rhythms and, different things. And it detected that there was a possibility of a wound. When we got the doctor to go back and check on him, he said, we're getting warnings that he might have a wound. And he did.
That's amazing. Is it Band-Aid or?
Yeah, it could have been that. It could have been he said blood or oh my goodness. I don't know. But I mean,
That kind of stuff,
Huh?
blood pressure.
It doesn't monitor it, but it will notify you if somebody's having a problem with blood pressure. Going back to the one that she was talking about with like, we noticed one lady, was struggling every time she left her bedroom, going into the living room. And it said, it's possible fall detection, possible fall detection. Sure enough, there was a rug in the hallway that was tripping her and she couldn't get her walker over the rug. And so every morning she was getting out of bed and almost tripping. So little things like that it's able to detect. Had another one where they moved into a community and it was not going well. The families, and we run into this a lot, where the families picture is different than what we see, okay? Because we look at it from a different perspective. But the family felt like mom just needed help from 8 to 6 every day. Could they please send in a caregiver at 8 in the morning to get her dressed and, let's go eat breakfast? Well, community and the family called and they're like, this is not going well. It's a horrible situation. It's not right. Mom's miserable. So we put the care companion in, and within 3 days, we're able to figure it out. Number one, mom wakes up at 5:30. She gets up at 5:30. She is very mobile. Mobility is challenging for her. She really can barely walk. So she's trying to get out of bed, get into the bathroom, because that's the first thing we do, right? And she was falling, and she was soiling herself, and she was screaming and flustered, and she was sitting in the assisted living for 3 hours. 8 o'clock, the caregiver walks in, and it's a mess, right? She's mad, and they're like, oh God, we got a mess. Also, the family had refused what we call bed checks, and that's just checking on the senior in the middle of the night to make sure she's okay. And she had also shown some signs of, I hate to say it, but she had recently lost her husband. She had some suicidal tendencies. So within a few days, we had all this information. We went back to the family, we went back to the community, and we said, look, she gets up at 5:30. Please get the caregiver in there at 5:30 a.m., get her to the restroom. If she wants to go back to bed, great. If not, let's get her dressed. Let's get her down, for her morning coffee. Number two, let's get her family to call her every night at 6 o'clock. Give her a little love, tell her about their day, and kind of bring down that suicidal tendency. I get it. She had lost her husband. She was sad. And then we're going to start bed checks at 7 o'clock. And then after we put all that together, everybody was happy. She was happy. She got to settle into the community. So it was just the care was not aligned, and we're able to align that care for the family really quickly.
And I'll just add that those are pretty extreme examples. And the range of health concerns and stuff, it's appropriate for, situations where people aren't struggling to that degree or aren't as, at risk to that degree. The whole idea is just to empower families, and every case study that I've seen and every personal experience I've heard is that people are happy. This tool moves people in the direction of feeling empowered, feeling their solutions. And so, when you're able to get ahead of things early, it's just much, you have a better possibility of maintaining, happiness and health for everybody.
I have 2 questions. One of them is, when you were putting in the system, did you have to do any identification, if there's 2 or 3 people in the home?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to do any level setting, I guess?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the audio tool can decipher between different people's tones of voice. So usually it's set up for one individual, although it would be appropriate for a couple. It can distinguish between 2 people based on, the assessment of their movements, their tone of voice. And so we don't set up an identification, but it is so sophisticated that it is able to, listen in on that. And what everybody found in the process of doing this research and training these LLMs and this generative technology is that we all talk out loud, you know, people. We talk to ourselves.
Talking to yourself again.
I would call myself by name. You know, Linda, I can't believe you did that. Yeah.
Yeah, we have really.
Linda, you're
complex
so amazing.
relationships. You know, you're so amazing.
On to that, I'm sure.
That's better than you saying, Bill, why did you do that? And there's no bill.
We have these complex, you know, we're incredibly, you know, complex and intelligent creatures, and we are constantly trying to make sense of our environment and the world around us, and, you know, assessing and discerning what's going on. And so, I mean, that actually helps this technology.
Other questions?
I don't understand how many technology instruments or whatever social things would you need in a house? Let's say I have a 3-bedroom house and a big den and a living room, you know, and I'm in my bedroom and or I fall in my bathroom, which is the other end of the house. How are you going to detect me?
Yeah, great question. So one kit comes with 3 pods that you can install in the most traveled areas of the house. I mean, I assume for a really, you know, big house, and if you wanted to make sure there was more coverage, you could get 2 kits, would, you know, be a total of 6. I installed them in my dad's bedroom, in the kitchen / living area, and the bathroom, because those are the places that he's, you know, in the most.
You can actually install one if it's like a small little studio apartment and things, and it can be as many as you want. So if somebody wanted one in every room in their house, it could actually be done with one router.
Is it connected with the house power?
No, it's completely independent. So it has its own SIM card and router. And so that's kind of the beauty of it. You don't have to activate it like Alexa. You don't have to worry about Wi-Fi if your Wi-Fi system is giving you trouble. It is.
It's gotta be plugged in.
It does, yes, it does.
Power,
plug into your
power.
Okay, yeah, well, that is true. So if there were a power outage, we need to reset it. Yeah, excuse
So
me.
if power goes out, it's off.
It will go off, it will
It's gonna do
reset
with your
when the
internet.
power comes on.
Okay.
So, yes.
Yeah.
But we would,
As
again,
well.
we would get an alert, there's no power. Miss Judy does not have power,
Okay.
what do we need to do here?
Yeah.
And we would then address that, right? And so maybe it is, you know, like, God forbid, what was it, 2020, when we had no, you know, for 7 days. You know, do we need to do a respite, or do we need to contact a neighbor, or do we need to, you know, whoever the emergency contact is, we would address that.
So it doesn't have a little hours worth of a backup battery, I guess. But what my real question is it using a cell phone connection?
No.
I mean, what if literally you don't have Wi-Fi in your house? It's not using. No, so it has a SIM card, which is a cell phone in its own separate router.
And its own separate router, so it's not using any of your Wi-Fi or any of your cell phone.
It's using.
So there's gonna be
obviously.
cost because they don't give away cell phone connections. Sorry? What,
That's
you're
part-
gonna get to the cost, I'm sure.
Yeah, the cost is, I mean, it's.
It's built in the cost,
$199
it's gotta be, it's a cell
So,
phone
you
connection.
know, and you get, it's less than $7 a day, you get 24-hour coverage,
7 a day?
it's less than $7 a day,
$199.
so $199 a month. So, yeah, and that includes, that covers the cost of the SIMs and the cells, so.
So is it used, not to get in the weeds, like an AT&T system?
It's independent of your system.
Or,
It's its own independent system for HIPAA compliance. Again, even if somebody said something like, you know, that you know, there was a concern of, is this health related? It goes through HIPAA compliance, it's reviewed by a medical team. If you know anything about dementia, like Tipa Snow, she's on our board. So it's gonna first make sure that this is health related. If it's not reporting, it's not doing anything, okay? So it is not reporting everything all day long, 24 hours a day. It is only if it's health related or it's been triggered. And then it will go through HIPAA compliance to make sure it is health related. If it's not, it's immediately deleted, scrubbed.
and you can plug it in wherever you happen to live, assisted living, you've rented a room from a
Yep.
whatever.
Mhm.
Your
Independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing, probably not a good situation. But I've had families take it with them wherever they go, it's family.
So if you complain about your children on the telephone, is it gonna record that?
No, ma'am, again, it's
Yes.
not health related, it's not health, gotta be health related, gotta be. oh,
Gives you stress.
Yeah.
It gives you stress.
Unless,
They-
now I might get an alert,
be
yeah, you're
specific.
getting stressed.
Yeah.
Okay. Every time you talk to Judy, you sure do get stressed. No,
What about animals?
no problem so far. I've had multiple families that have had it, and have pets, no
Yes.
problem.
And sound you're done with that. Have crying. I don't have one now, but. It's not the next.
And we won't take up too much more of your time here. We're coming to the end of the slides. Could we?
The next one.
Yes, please. So this is an example again of what the care services are, what the data is. As you can see, it's really, easy to digest information. So what the action is and what the impact is. And another one, improve support, increase safety, increase insight into evolving needs. Yeah. And so it's incredibly individualized. I don't know of any other technology. I'm not sure that, Apple Watches have their place with calling things, but to my knowledge, there's no other technology like this that provides the kind of individualized support and to empower. Yes.
Forgot my question.
It happens.
Next.
All right, next, yes, please. Cool. And another example of a transcript. The 30-day look back is helpful for, deciphering trends. So if you want to see a trend in behavior, and the beauty of the system is a lot of times there's discussions with your primary care physician. There's discussions with your family members, things are talked about, but it's not recorded in a way that, can be easily presented to a medical professional, or they're just gaps in information. And so that's what, this helps organize and fill in those gaps.
So essentially, you could have every 30 days, because there's a 30-day look back, every 30 days, you could download what the patterns are.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can get, depending on what the family wants, we can do a weekly care plan, so you get a data-driven care plan. And so we can do that weekly, we can do it every 2 weeks, or monthly, depending on what the family wants.
Next slide, please. We'll run through these fast. Thank you all so much for your interest and your questions, and we hope this has been informative. This is another example about what the impact is. It's important to note the impact of people's efforts, your own efforts or family members' efforts. And the idea is to keep seniors informed about what's going on. So this information would be, whoever is monitoring and assessing, receiving the information would be, of course, passed on. So it's intended to keep individuals on this care plan informed and active in their own, health journey. We can scroll through the next one. Yeah, this is kind of another example. John went through a bunch of examples, and I know we've taken up a lot of your time, more than I intended to. Deepa Snow, she was here recently. She's been a dementia educator for decades. She's incredibly well known and renowned and respected as an educator. And she's, agrees this technology can be a powerful tool in supporting caregivers and helping train caregivers, and mostly just help seniors, feel good and stay healthy for longer. Yeah, thank you so much for your time.